Hey, you guys, thanks for listening in to this episode of Tips with T. On today, I have Mr. Tim with us. Hey, Mr. Tim, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, T. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being a guest on the show today. So, tell us more about yourself and what you do.
Sure. My my company, I own a marketing agency called Rialto Marketing, and we help service businesses just simplify marketing so that they can grow with less stress. And we do that by creating and implementing a plan to communicate the right message to the right people. So we get involved with a number of different digital marketing services, marketing coaching, and marketing consulting. One of the things we find, just there's so many businesses battling information overload when it comes to marketing. There's all these different channels now, and there's gurus telling you need to do this, you need to do that, and it just feels overwhelming. And when you're overwhelmed, you can't create a plan, you can't move forward. But it doesn't have to be that way. Marketing, it shouldn't be difficult. You need the right plan, and then you need to follow that plan. So that's what I'm doing professionally. Personally, married, two kids. We live in the Denver, Colorado area, and moved here in 2008. So we've been here about 12 years. I was born and raised in the Bay Area in Northern California, and yeah, that's it. I love spending time with my family. Playing golf, skiing, mountain biking. Those are my hobbies. So that's it in a nutshell.
Awesome, awesome. So, I'm glad we'll be able to get like some marketing tips today. So, because during this time, it's kind of hard for people to kind of market or pivot because we're doing we're in this pandemic with this
Yep.
coronavirus, and a lot of people are having to pivot their business. So they can remain open. So what will you say will be the basic fundamentals to how they can market their business during this time?
Yeah, I believe that the fundamentals of any discipline, they don't change.
Mm-hmm.
They're, standing up and hitting a major league fastball. The fundamentals of doing that today are the same they were 50 years ago, and they're going to be the same 50 years from now. And the fundamentals of marketing are no different. But I think where a lot of people struggle with their marketing is they skip the fundamentals, either because they don't they don't know about them, they're not cool, they're not sexy. A lot of people don't talk about them, and they want to just immediately jump into tactics. I need to have a website or I need to have a YouTube channel. But the problem is the fundamentals lay the foundation that you build your marketing house from. And so if you skip them, you're going to consistently have issues with your marketing. So, what are the fundamentals? I call them the marketing strategy trilogy. One is you need to know who your target market is. Who are your ideal clients? How are you going to serve those people? And differentiate yourself in the market. You need to understand the people that you're trying to attract, because if you try to attract everyone, you're just going to struggle. What you say to everybody is going to fall flat because it's not going to resonate with anybody in particular. You have to hone in on who you want to work with. Once you know who you want to work with, that second step in the trilogy is creating good messaging. You need to have messaging that's clear and engaging to that target market that you're trying to attract. What you how you communicate what you do and the value that you offer is essential to your success with marketing, right? And then the third part of that trilogy is you have to have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't have a marketing plan, or if they do, it's very loosely based. They're not really following it. But when you have a plan, it keeps you focused. It eliminates the distraction and that information overload so that, when somebody says, oh, you got to be on TikTok this week, you're like, you know what? It's not on my plan right now. Maybe I'll do that later, but I got to stay focused on what's on my plan right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to help you get more consistent and repeatable results. If you start with those three things and then start to move into more tactical channels, your website or social media or search engine optimization, whatever it may be, the results you get are going to be that much better.
Mm-hmm.
The level of everything you do is going to rise because you've got those fundamentals in place.
Awesome. So I do have a question. So like, how can someone identify their target market? Because some people really do struggle with that because they think that, oh, I just want to just target these people, and that might necessarily not might be the case for them.
Yeah.
Might be a totally different age bracket or gender or whatever. So what are some strategies that you will suggest or give so people can actually identify their
Yep.
target market?
So I think if you have an existing business, you've been working with clients, the best place to start is to look at your current clients and ask yourself three questions to try and hone in on, hey, who are my ideal clients? Okay, so that first question is, who do you enjoy working with?
Mm-hmm.
What's the point in working with people that drive you nuts? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, things are hard enough. You didn't start a business to create a bunch of headaches. You might as well work with people that you love working with. The second question is, who are your most profitable clients? We gotta be profitable if we want to stay in business and make money. So we need to identify who those most profitable clients are. And then the third question we need to ask is, who do we do our best work for? You, why would you not want to work with the people that you do your best work for? You are naturally going to get a ton of referrals if you work with only those people that you do great work for.
Mm-hmm.
So ask yourself those three questions, and the customers that you can say yes to every one of those three questions, that's where you start to identify who your ideal clients are. Because you take that pool and then you can start to look at that pool and look at the demographics. What are those people like? What characteristics do they share? And you can also start to dig into the psychographics, how they're feeling, what their thoughts are, what their goals are, and inevitably 1 to 3 groups start to surface from that larger group. Those subgroups, those are your ideal clients. That's the best place to start, because every single one of those people you enjoy working with, they're your most profitable clients, and you do great work for them. That's the easiest place to start for an existing business. If you're just starting out, you're going to have to make some educated guesses,
Mm-hmm.
right? But making educated guesses now is so much easier than it was 10, 15 years ago. We can get so much information online. You can go on to, forums. You can go into, Reddit, Facebook groups for people that you think are your target market, right? So maybe I think that chiropractors is a target market for my business, whatever I'm selling.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can start to go into Facebook groups or chiropractic forums to start to look at, hey, what kinds of questions are chiropractors asking about the industry that I'm in and the problem that I solve?
Mm-hmm.
To really start to hone in on, hey, is this going to be a good target market for me? And as you do that research, if it is, then great. You got to pick and choose and start somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
That just because you pick chiropractors doesn't mean that they're always going to be your ideal client, but you have to start somewhere.
Right.
And it's okay to shift.
Mm-hmm.
You may start to work with chiropractors and go, man, this is not working. Okay, so you can shift and change your target market. It's okay, but you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
The other thing that you can do, it's a little bit more difficult when you don't have direct relationships with people, but you can reach out to chiropractors and just say, hey, can you spare 15 minutes? I'm thinking about getting into this business, offering X to chiropractors. I would really be interested to get your feedback on your experience and see if this might be something that would be a good fit for chiropractors. And you're gonna reaching out cold. If you can get some introductions, that would be great. These conversations don't need to be long, but if you can get 5 to 10 chiropractors on the phone and just ask them some of these questions to really dig deep to figure out, hey, is this going to be a good target market for me? That's another great place to start as well.
Awesome.
Does
Awesome.
that help?
Yeah, that does help. Because like a lot of people, they do struggle with that. Even with me at first, I struggled with my target market. When I first started my business back in 2014, now it's kind of pivoting to small business owners. And the reason why I'm able to help small business owners with taxes, bookkeeping, and things like that, because I'm learning that for myself with my own business, as well as that being my, me going to school for those things, but actually getting into the hands-on experience with it. And I'm like, okay, I'm able to help more small business owners better or more because I, you know, can relate to them more now
Yep.
because I'm going through it. So my my market pivot, because at first it was just like I was just like, okay, anybody that taxes, individual tax returns, those
Yep.
type of things. But then now it's more so now me moving and transitioning to the people that are owning businesses because now that's what I'm starting to get more clientels in because they see now that I'm a small business owner and I'm doing all these things. So it's okay to pivot sometimes because sometimes, that market might not always be a fit for you forever. You might have to, in order to grow, the target market might have to change. So I'm glad you did say that.
Yep. Absolutely. It happens all the time. But and I think too, it's not just the demographics of your target market that are important. Those psychographics are really, really important. Because just because I'm going to target small business owners or chiropractors or whatever it may be, not every single one of those people is still going to be a good fit for me.
Right.
So for example, as a marketing company, we work primarily with service-based businesses. So coaches and consultants,
Mm-hmm.
professional service providers, and then home service businesses. So blue collar type businesses. Not every one of those types of businesses is great for us because guess what? If they're not invested in growing their business and putting the money in to make that happen, and they don't view marketing as an investment in their business rather than an expense, I already know that those people are not going to be a good client for me. Even if they've got the money, if they're saying to me, "Hey Tim, we want to we've got a budget of $2,000 a month or $1,000 or 5,000, whatever it is." If they don't view marketing as an investment that they are going to continue to do, I know that they're not going to be good long-term clients for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so understanding those psychographics is a really important aspect of it, so that because it'll help you when you're having those initial conversations with prospects to hone in on, man, just because they're in my target market, are they in the right space for me to be able to help them and for them to be a great client for me? So it's really important to not forget the psychographics in addition to the demographics.
So, how would you say that these fundamentals will help us to avoid wasting time and money? Because sometimes we do try to figure it out, and it does, when we struggle with it, it does cause us to waste a lot of time and a lot of unnecessary money. So, how can we
It
avoid
does.
from doing
Well,
that?
and it's so you avoid that because when you get the fundamentals in place, you're not throwing spaghetti up against a wall hoping it's going to stick. You're not trying different tactics just because some random person said you need to do this. You've got a plan in place. You know exactly who you're trying to target with the money that you're spending, right? And because you know exactly who you're trying to target, you can create messaging that is engaging and clear to that market, right? When you can create messaging that allows you to enter the conversation that your prospects are already having in their head. When T puts out this message and a small business owner reads it and they're like, "Oh my God, was she like, she's in my head, was she a fly on the wall when I was having that conversation about our bookkeeping and accounting with my wife?" That's the kind of stuff you want them to say. When you can do that and they read your message, there's a much, much higher likelihood that people are going to want to take that next step
Mm-hmm.
to do business with you. But you can't do that if you don't understand who your target market is and have great messaging and then have a plan of how am I going to get in front of these people? Where do I need to be? What do I need to say to get these people to take that next step? And so if you're throwing spaghetti up against a wall, inevitably your marketing is not going to work as effectively as it should. So you're going to waste money. You're not going to get as good at conversions as you should. And your messaging is not going to, if you're trying to attract everybody, you can't create a message that attracts everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so you put money into paid ads, or you do a direct mail piece, and the messaging falls flat. It's not going to work. So you just spent money and you didn't get conversions. You wasted the money, and along the way you're wasting time. So a lot of people, look, we live in an instant gratification society. People, it's like, I want leads today. But so many people don't realize that if you take the time, if it takes you a month or 2 months to put these fundamentals in place and get started on the right foot, you're going to be so much better off long term. Maybe you don't get immediate results
Mm-hmm.
because you're putting these fundamentals in place first, but long term, it's going to be so much better.
Yeah.
Rather than they feel like they're, they jump into tactics and they're like, oh, great, this is working. But what they're going to end up doing is taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the fundamentals are so, so important.
Yeah, it is. It is. So how would you think these fundamentals, how do they help us to build a stronger foundation?
Well, because they give you direction and they give
Mm-hmm.
you focus. You can't, it is so much harder. If I say that we work with all entrepreneurs, they're everywhere.
Right.
So how do I know what to say
Mm-hmm.
to every entrepreneur? It's too broad.
Mm-hmm.
But if I say that I want to work with startups that are in their first year of business,
Right.
okay, now I can start to ask myself questions like, where are startups that are within their first year? Where are they?
Mm-hmm.
Are they in incubator groups? Are they going to, startup meetup groups? Are they in forums online? Now all of a sudden I can identify. It's so much easier for me to identify, and it's not nearly as broad. It's much more focused, and now my work actually becomes easier.
Mm-hmm.
The way I look at it is, when you look at the fundamentals as the foundation, the other marketing channels are like the walls of the house. So my website and my SEO, my social media, my email marketing, those are all the walls. And then all the other subsystems within the house are the different tactics within those channels. So yeah, I can skip the fundamentals, but I'm building a house without a foundation. I think we all know that that's not going to last very long. So it's, to a certain extent, even if what I'm saying doesn't ring true, just take it at faith,
Mm-hmm.
because it works. It's not, again, this is not rocket science. I'm not talking about anything new. The fundamentals, like I said, were the same, and a lot of marketing companies that focus on specific services, they don't get down to the fundamentals, because if I have an SEO company, my only focus is to get people traffic to their website.
Mm-hmm.
But if that company skipped the fundamentals, they're driving traffic back to a website that doesn't have a clear message. Maybe it doesn't have a good, clear call to action. The conversions are going to suffer because of that, and you're spending money to drive traffic back to an asset that's not working for you yet. But if you get the fundamentals in place, you can make sure that the actions you're taking are actually having the intended result.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tim, for coming on the show today, being a guest, giving us all these good tips. I hope someone will be able to get some type of takeaway from it. But I'm going to share the social media handles so you can
Cool.
tell our listeners how they can get in contact with you if they would like to.
Yep. Easiest place is going to our website, which is rialtomarketing.com. That's RIALTO marketing.com. T has all the other links here for our various social channels. We also put together some special resources for Tips with T listeners at rialtomarketing.com /tips-with-t. There's free fundamentals resources to help you dig deeper into the fundamentals that I talked about today that I think you'll find super valuable. So if you want to learn more about the fundamentals, make sure you get those in place. Pop on over there. We do also offer a free consult for anybody. It'll help you get clarity on where you need to focus your marketing efforts right now to get the best return. So thank you, Tia. I really appreciate it, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for being on the show. And if you guys want to get in contact with me, you can do so. You can email me at contact@mjfinancial.biz. You can give me a phone call, 910-317-0396. You can visit the website at www.mjfinancial.biz. You can find this episode on Anchor, you guys, and you can also find the playback for this video on the YouTube channel for M&J Financial Management. So thank you again, Mr. Tim, for being on the show. I highly appreciate you today. I enjoyed it. It gave helpful tips for people who are struggling with marketing during this time.
Cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, you guys, and we will see you on the next episode of Tips with T.